ladies, be careful about who you follow in these internet streets. Now, in a previous video, I mentioned that for you as a woman, it might be more important than it is even for men for you to be able to identify some of the most nefarious people in these internet streets. So today, I'm going to elaborate on what to look for and things to just take note of in finding who these people are. So, today's findings, ladies, be careful who you follow. Let's get it in. So ladies, some of you might know I've been on a hunt to try to find a woman who you can learn from who does what I do. Why not me? I'm a teacher, you're learning from me, and that's great. But why am I even looking for a woman? Well, here's the thing. I am very good at what I do. When it comes to men and women, but let's stick with the men for now, I can break down for you very deeply what's going on. So if the surface is like the surface of the earth, I can go down to -1, -2, -3, all the way down to the core of the earth when it comes to men and tell you exactly as a man what's happening inside you, why you do what you do, how you function, why you function that way, the decisions and choices that you're making that get you there, all the different things. I can break it down. On top of that, again, for men, I can tell you what buttons you need to push within yourself to climb up out of that. I can show you where the path of victory is along the way and show you what victory looks like at the end. I can do all of that. But when it comes to women, I know a lot about you, studied you my whole damn life, but when I'm breaking down, again, the surface, -1, -2, -3, I can go down to the core of you, ladies. I can go deep. But what happens is, along that trail of depth, there will be things that I miss because I'm not a woman. And especially at the end, the button pushing portion on how to get you out of that, I can tell you what victory looks like. I can show you a path of how to get to victory, but those buttons you need to push within yourself to create the desire for victory. I don't know all of the buttons, ladies. I know like 4 or 5. I can tell you what buttons to push, especially the ones that are universal to all humans. There's certain buttons I know that if you push them, it will work, but it might not work for you, ladies. There will be a lot in the button pushing on how to make you feel the desire to want the path of victory, let alone what victory is, that I don't know, because ultimately, I am not a woman. I don't have a woman's experience of living life in a woman's body. I don't know what that's like. So there's limitations. No matter how much learning I have, no matter how much scientific excellence is within me, I still will tap out on my level of knowledge on how to help you get to victory ultimately. I can do a lot, but there is a level that I can never touch because I'm not a woman. It requires a woman who does what I do to tell you how to work it on all the different levels that you might need it worked. I mean, at least when it comes to this kind of stuff. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. So ultimately, no matter who you're learning from, understand that there will be limitations in it, depending on who they are and what they bring to the table. I have limitations in teaching women how to work their insides to a high level and a high degree because I'm not a woman, no matter how much I know. So ultimately, ladies, I've told you that I'm going to be looking for someone to send you to for the last little pieces. A woman on the internet who does what I do, right? But in that search, I found, holy smoking, Joe Frazier, it is difficult to find a woman who does what I do. And these are the issues that I found looking for help for y'all. And they teach men. Sadly, the best and brightest women I've seen on the internet usually use their skill to teach mostly dudes. They will have their content focused on teaching men how to operate, teaching men how women think, but yeah, it's teaching men. Now, I know that YouTube on a whole is mostly a man thing. Like, there's way more men on YouTube than there are women. But yeah, the best of them, and I mean women who have, they're smart, they're conscientious, their quality of their video, the types of things they teach, where it's great. But I'm like, but they don't really focus on women. That sucks. They teach niche. Niche meaning they teach things like makeup and fashion. So they'll teach you how to look good, but they don't do a holistic thing on how you should function on the inside and how to keep a relationship. Looking good will help certain things in a relationship, but it's not going to maintain things in the long term. So there'll be like makeup, fashion, cooking, or like, I don't know, it'll be something where they're just talking about a very narrow scope of things. They teach attempts. Like, they attempt to do the right thing, but they fail miserably. This probably was the most annoying portion of what I would see. I would see a bunch of women who they looked like, yeah, this is promising. Okay, she's going to be teaching my female audience what to do, how to function, how to think, and blah, blah, blah. So I'm watching what they do, and they will be 90% all good information, all good thoughts, all good conscientious. They're really hitting the nail on the head of like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then the last 10% is some way out of whack, out of pocket, crazy stuff that just goes to the left. And sometimes it's not even 90% good. It'll be, most of the things I've seen are like 50%. Like half the messages she tells or teaches are great. And I'm not dropping any names on the negative because there's no reason to give the negativity any kind of shine. But it'll be 50% good or decent, and then the other 50% is some crazy stuff that's just gonna get you as a woman left. Your man gonna leave you, your friends gonna leave you, just no one's going to like you or think that you are any kind of solid good person if you follow these lessons, which, like I said, it sucks because it starts off and it seems like she's smart, and then ultimately you find out she doesn't know what she's talking about. So the most horrendous of them all is she teaches take. I'm going to get more into that in the next section. So those are the problems, ladies, on how hard it is to find somebody to teach you, which I can only imagine if you've been looking on these internet streets alone with no guidance, what it's been like. So I'm going to give you some things to look for. So on top of me doing my own research and whatever, and going to be providing you with a list of like, oh, watch her, check this out. I'm also wanting you, as you're out there finding people and watching and doing your own thing, I also want you to not just rely on my list, but go find people yourself. But at least I want to give you some things to look out for, some stuff of mostly what not to do. If you see these things, run. You don't need to be there. So the first on the list of things to look out for when you're looking for women to follow is taker teachers. She teaches get, not give. So I had just talked about finding a lot of takers, and it's one of the most horrendous things. She basically teaches from a standpoint of, ladies, this is what you need to do to get this. This is what you need to do to get that. It's all about receiving and what you can take from the relationship. You're going to take this, you're going to take that. She teaches all of these different ways of how to either manipulate or coax or coerce or whatever a man into just giving you a bunch of stuff. So ladies, if you are paying attention to any of these videos, especially the ones where I'm focusing on the dudes, on the gentlemen, what do I constantly tell them to do? I am teaching them on how to give things, on how to give to their person, how to give to their woman. That I'm making sure it's not just, oh, them receiving, and it doesn't mean you can't ever receive, but you don't really need to teach that. You don't need to teach very much of how to be a good receiver. It's more, don't forget, it's up to you to give. So if that's her main focus, or that's like two, three, four, five things that come out of her mouth, and you hear that when you're watching and looking for these people, dip out. Next is outside in teachers. These are teachers where they focus on solving society's problems inside your relationship. The outside world needs to come into what you're doing. Where she says stuff like, oh, if your boyfriend doesn't like the Barbie movie and he's not down with this political party or that thing or this thing, and they try to drag all of everything that's going on and socioeconomical and political issues in the world into the relationship, to the point where they're telling you, don't worry about how he's treating you. If he doesn't go along with this dogma or this belief system, then he's bad, he's wrong. Nah, dip out of there. Next, ladies, will be victim teachers. This is where they're teaching you that you're oppressed. We as women, we are so oppressed right now, and we have this problem and this problem and this problem, and we need to make sure we're thinking about these. Nah. Any woman who's telling you that you're just a victim and you're just so oppressed and all these things that men get away with, and oh my God, like, yo, if that's the case, nah, don't even trip. Because the fact is, ladies, you are massively powerful. Have you heard me talk to the dudes or even to you and talk about what you don't get, what weakness you have that isn't balanced out by something else? And I'm not telling you that you don't have issues and problems and things going on. I'm not saying that your life isn't hard. But what you have heard me say is that not only do you have issues and problems, but you've also got benefits as well that balance that out. And the same goes for the men. Men might have issues and problems, but they have benefits that balance that out. That you're not automatically weaker than men. You're not automatically less than men. You're not like, I don't understand how you all put up with that, to the extent that I've seen that on the internet of this whole victim thing. And I get it. I get that you've been told your whole life negative things only about being a woman most of the time. But there's also all of this power and prestige and whatever. Like, there's a lot of good, great things about being a woman. So if they're focusing more on the victim side, or if they even mention it, there's nothing to even really mention, then that's not a teacher you need to be listening to. And then lastly, there's the worth teachers. It's the, oh, girlfriend, you need to understand your worth, know your worth. If those are the words that come out of her mouth and she's talking about all the things that you're automatically deserved and all the things that you should automatically be getting based on your worth as a woman, and the worth because I get dressed and I look like this, and so look at me, obviously he needs to be doing X, Y, nah. The worthy teachers, no, run away. So ultimately, ladies, why are these types of women teachers the ones you should be avoiding? Because they're teaching you selfishness. They're teaching you to think of you only or foremost. They're teaching you that the whole purpose and primary thing in the relationship is your thoughts, your feelings, your wants, your needs, your worth, your victimhood, your this, your that. It's all about you. And that's not how it is. It's not how it goes. It's not anything that's going to get you someone. Those are the things that are going to have someone running away from you. So even if you see one of those teachers with a dude, yeah, of course, there's always going to be some stupid simpleton that's willing to just do anything to get into the situation with any woman because that's all they can live for. That's all they have. But I'm going to tell you right now, one of them or both of them is not happy in that relationship, and it ain't gonna last. Because the fact of the matter is, ladies, and you should know this, especially if you're one of my students, relationships, the purpose is to give to the other person. It's not about what you can get for yourself. It doesn't mean that you can't get something, but a majority of what you're doing as you're joining lives with someone else and you're seeing what you can give to them. You don't have to worry about what you get. Just to put some numbers on it, it should be 80-20. 80% of it should be you focusing on what you give to the other person. 20% can be you calculating on what you get and making sure your needs are met and all that good stuff. But for the most part, if your needs are met and the person is good to you, don't even worry about what you get. That's their job. Their job is to do the exact same thing you're doing. They should be worrying about giving to you, and that's how it's supposed to work. They give and you give. You both give to each other, and it creates that bond. It creates that hold. Now, fine. You're a woman. I know you're already tripping on 20%. Fine. I'll give you 25. 25, 75. 75% of the time, you should be thinking about what you give to your man. 25% of the time, you can think about what you get. And even that, ladies, we as men often do that. We often will give you more in the way of you being the receiver and us being the giver. I do it here on this show. I do it in real life. And the dude you're with right now probably does that. Now, if you're not with a man who gives, you're with the wrong dude. Keep watching these videos and I will explain how to make sure you find the right one. But the fact of the matter is, ladies, if you don't want to be a giver, if that trips you out, if you're like, I don't understand, and no, men already get enough, and if that is where you're at, if your mind is you don't like giving to a dude, a man, yo man, someone who you claim to love and care about, if that's what you on, get out of the game. Straight up, don't be in a relationship. If you are not a giver, if all you want to do is take, and you think and feel that you and your presence and how you look is all, that's it, bye, deuces. You yourself, not even just the teachers, but you. Why are you in a relationship? Might sound cold, but it's the truth. Leave relationships to people who actually understand what they are and what they're for. Get out of the game and stay in the whole single life, doing whatever you're doing with other people who also don't care. Keep this self-centered, discaring thing. Discaring? Uncaring. I'm just making up words. Y'all got words flying around in my head I just made up. Uncaringness. Keep that out of here. Relationships are already hard enough without someone who's just in it for themselves. Because if that's the case, why are you in a relationship? There's plenty of dudes out there who will just give you stuff for free without you having to be linked up and having titles of girlfriend or wife or fiance or what have you. Bye. But I assume that's a rarity. I assume that the women here, Balance of Power, my students, that's not you. That you actually do understand that it's about giving. You just don't know how or don't know what to do. So when you're looking for a female teacher, look for someone who is that rare woman on the internet. Doesn't mean that they don't exist, but trying to find them on the internet, that's a lot harder. Because usually women who are like this are not on the internet. Just like dudes who have my skill are usually not teaching relationship. They're usually teaching hit it and quit it and all kinds of stuff. Whatever. Look for the rare woman who talks about giving, who relishes in what she gives to her husband, what she gives to her man, or what you can do to give to your person. If she's not teaching give, then you need to go. Remember that. But that's it for the day. Now you know the deal. Throw thumbs, subscribe, slide this video to somebody who you know needs to hear this message. Until next time though, deuce deuce.